Talasila, CEO Loop Reality. A serial entrepreneur, Jignesh Talasila is mastering the art of creating immersive assessments through contextual simulations and non-contextual games in VR. With a passionate team of hackers and psychologists, he is innovating the ways to effectively assess personality, behavior, and cognitive abilities of a candidate to find his or her true potential and culture fit at modern workplace. Being one of the pioneers in Indian VR scene, Jignesh has been advising innovation teams of MNC and government organizations to find immediate ways for technology adoption. He has also taken a long journey of creating awareness and evangelizing the technology by building a VR/AR community through Bonfire VR. So please welcome Mr. Jignesh.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Thank you. So, we are in the business of reading human minds. And what do I mean by reading human minds? We try to understand your personality, your behavior, your cognitive abilities, which are inherently there in your mind, through games that we simulate in virtual reality. Now, that is what we do. And how did we come to this journey is what I would like to address first. So 2 years ago, when we started thinking about starting up again, we were looking at what are the emerging technologies in the market where we can take the lead ahead of anyone else in the market. And we found we have to be one of them. Why? Because 2016 March was when Oculus first got released to commercial engagement. So March 31st, Oculus CV1 is commercially available to the world. The next week, HTC Vive launched their product into the market. So that means no one has any early access than we have. So we started our journey there. But when we started, we don't know where to go and how to start it. We don't know that there is an engine called Unity. We don't know that there is an engine called Unreal. We don't know that we have to use graphics. We have to use a lot of gaming into this. We know nothing about the space. But we said we have to start. So 2 months we took it. So April and May 2016, we figured this out on how to tinker with things around this. And we created our first product, which is called Gedanken VR. Gedanken is a thought experiment in German. So what is this Gedanken VR all about? We try to use the design automation tools which are existing in the design industry, the manufacturing and design industry, to come on with. So what is this automation tool that I'm talking about? You come in, I have to make a turbine. Now this turbine is specific to my own use case. I have a head of so much, I have a kinetic energy of so much, I have the velocity of the speed of the spring at so much. So I have to install a turbine with a specific design of vanes and fins and etc. to match this requirement. Now to build such products, to build such designs, people engage 300-400 draftsmen, the engineers, who keep on building this design. Now that's a problem. Why? Companies like Amesha's, companies like Suzlon, etc. on the wind side of it, they have requirement coming from different parts of the country with different types of environments, with different types of requirements. They can't keep on doing this. So they said, why can't we use the knowledge library? Okay, if this is so and so, this can't be beyond this can't be beyond this. So there are limitations in knowledge library which are already set. Use this knowledge, put the library there, and get the interface where you can input the data. This matches with the knowledge library. It creates its own value systems around it, and then on click of a button, the drawing is right in front of you. No one is designing, computer is doing that way. Now this is an automation design automation part of it, which is there in the world for a long time now, especially in the aerospace industry. Now we said, how can we use this tool and map it to the VR and take it to the market? Now how does this work? I do all of this in VR now. I select the components, I select everything. The design is generated in the CAD file, and that is imported into the game engine. I have it sitting in front of me now. Now I want to change it. I want to make a tweak to it. I want to add a wiring to it which will connect to the other part of the industry. So I do it right there and then. On click of a button, it gets into the part of the engine, the drawing of it. Now what is this helping? This is helping industries which are around your electricity in cutting the lead time of procurement and then matching the harnesses, etc., with the existing industrial layout, and then placing an order for this harness. It comes in 2 weeks. In the meantime, the machine is sitting there idle. So we cut this time a lot. But this was the first project. And all of it was done in the first 2 months. Then we realized, yes, this is going to be big. Now what can we do? What can we do around this? So the first project was focused primarily in the area of the bigger industries, the enterprises. So then we went on to say, what can we do in the commercial space? Very, very open to the commercial market. So that was our second product which we built called LoopFit. Now what is LoopFit? LoopFit is a cycle, any bicycle that you have in your market, put it on a frame that we have. The frame has a little bit of IoT, a little bit of mechanical components. You start riding. The moment you start riding, it captures the speed at which you are riding, and all of it is projected to a VR headset in a new environment wherever you want to ride this. And while you're doing this, if in the environment, the hill comes in, you are going up a hill and down a hill, it will tighten the wheel, it will loosen the wheel. And while this is happening, there is a wearable watch that collects your data and talks about what is your dehydration levels, what is your oxygen saturation levels, when should you stop and drink water, when should you keep on riding, and it keeps suggesting about your goal-centric predictions. Okay, now you have to achieve this 30 kg weight loss, you have to do this today based on your timelines. So this was the second product. Luckily, we presented this at Deccan's Disrupt, we presented this at Web Summit, we took it to a lot of other places, we won the challenges, but then we realized in India there is no market for this product. Because fitness itself is too fancy for us in India. We all pay the membership, so we don't go there. And then the second challenge is, VR itself is too nascent in India that even today, none of these companies have officially launched their devices in India. That's a challenge. None. After 2 years of entry into the market, none have launched them officially into India because of policies, because of a lot of other issues, which we are all trying to lobby and get it out. Now these are the challenges in the industry. So this has sent us out into the Indian market. So we couldn't do much about the products. So that was the time when we were looking around survival of the company. So we started encountering the problem statements of the industry. The first problem statement we solved was from T-Systems. T-Systems Malaysia. They're the subsidiary of News Telecom. Now these guys have a problem of how can I give the visualization of my existing field to someone out there in all with a robotic, with Eva from Wally sitting there and explaining you what is happening in this space and taking you to the map around. So the AI into the system of VR, which will take you to the things around in the system. So that was our first project. Then the Dr. Reddy's somehow knew about us. They came to us. They said, boss, we are launching a new medicine called Telsartan in Russia. Now we need something unique for the marketing campaign, which excites the whole doctor community in Russia. So we created a first AR app for Dr. Reddy's, which they use for marketing campaigns to the medical representatives in Russia. So we have the medicine box, the doctor scans it, the Yuri Gagarin, whom they admire a lot, comes onto it in a spaceship. He talks about what is the biggest challenge in Russia, and then he solves it. This is the molecular structure that we have created, this is the medicine, and doctor, do you want to join me? He opens his hand. So this is the kind of work that we have done with the industry. So while all of this is happening around, we came across a lot of problems in the market. Very few in the country have been to this space, and those who have been to this space by 2016 are typically the animation experts, the graphic experts, the gaming experts, who know only that. They're not coming from the industry. And our team especially comes from mechanical, electronics, and various other backgrounds. So we could map the use case that the industry has to the solution that the technology has and map them together. And that gives us the initial advantage to go into the market and talk to people. And we went to the use cases as crucial as talking to HCG in Bangalore, which is Healthcare Global, which is a special department which is specialized in oncology. And what is their problem statement? The doctors who does the surgeries there in the room are talking about the 3rd level, 4th level of cancer at musculoskeletal level. Now say for example, there is a kid of 13-year-old, and this kid has a cancer identified right at the knee. Now, this doctor has to amputate that part of the bone, otherwise the cancer is going to grow. But the challenge is if he completely amputates it, the part of the growth cells, the stem cells that are there, which will allow the leg to grow, will stop growing. So the kid is no more going to have the same length of the legs. Now this is the challenge that they have. And how do they solve it today as we speak? They create 3D printed jigs and they operate based on the angles. They plan it a lot ahead and they do it. But the biggest challenge that they face is not the surgery, but to explain the patient on how they are planning to do it. Because there's a risk that if you leave a part of the cell there, it might be a cancerous cell and it can grow back. So the second opinion, third opinion doctors who they refer to, the patients refer to, they say, no, we'll cut it off. Otherwise it's harm to the patient. So for them, in the patient education is a very crucial part. So what did we do there? We said we'll collect the DICOM files, the CT scan, MRI scan data, which is all flat, which is all slices. We brought them together. We created models out of it. And these models are now shown in VR, where the doctor can play with it and show it to the patient, boss, this is the slice, this is the cross section. This is how I'm going to enter into the system. This is what I'm going to take it off. So this has helped them explain to the patients a lot better. The confidence has improved a lot. So these are certain interventions that we have worked upon in the last 2 years journey. Now, putting it all aside, I'll show you the video of all that I've discussed till now. And then we'll go into the problem statement that we have now and how can we collaborate and work around. So that is what we have done till 2017 October. But then we realized this is not how it is going to work. Services you can keep doing, you can keep solving the problems, but the company has to survive and have to go somewhere to do something. So that was when we were talking about how did the whole education system went obsolete with the kind of assessments that we have on paper based. Just ask a person, do you know this or no? If yes, tell me what it is. In the language I would like to understand rather than the way you understood it. Now this was a problem which I identified even before in my first startup, which is into education, which is into practical curriculums for schools. So we said we're going to address this problem. But then we realized entering into the school market, the K-12 market or even the college education market would be a lot of content which is tough to accumulate with the kind of money that we have. At the same time, the affordability of this content in the colleges is not easily acceptable in all the colleges. So that's why we are thinking about where can we take it otherwise. Maybe enterprises who have the money to pay, who need a novel concept to start with and experiment. So that's when we started our second journey. This is called Perspect AI. Now what is Perspect AI? Perspect AI is all about two types of games in virtual reality. There are non-contextual games, which doesn't have any context. You just come in as a game and you play. And contextual simulations, which is about a particular situation for a particular company, for a particular goal, recreating a particular situation, and putting these people in those situations, letting them interact with them with a common goal of doing something, achieving something, and in this process, trying to capture his behavior in terms of his responses to the environment, in terms of his motion capture, in terms of his EEG brainwave emissions, in terms of his biometrics through all kinds of galvanic skill sensors. So this is what we are doing. And how does this map to the things? So there are a lot of frameworks, psychometric frameworks in the market, starting from the MBTI, 16PF to today's Big Five, Ocean, etc. So we took the latest. We started working on the Big Five. And then we said, how can we create our own framework on top of it? Because the existing frameworks are too linear. They are questions. The items are called questions. And I asked you, will you help your friend if he is in trouble? Yes, I will. Whether you will help him or not. Because these are socially desirable responses. So you can't ask anymore. You have to identify what it is by observation. And that is what we are trying to achieve through this product. I'll show you a small clip of it, and then we'll go in detail about where we can exactly come to reach. Next video, please. That is what we are building now. Now before we go into details of where we can join hands, while we are doing this, we said we will identify the constructs, the traits that we are going to measure. So we have concluded things to the cognition, the personality, the culture. In cognition again, the sensory abilities, the psychomotor abilities, and the pure functions, the lower and higher functions of the cognition. So we started our first game with the focus on the sensory abilities, psychomotor abilities, and the lower functions of cognition. When I say that, what do I measure? Through VR, with the limitations we have, we can capture the way you look at and what you are looking at. What is your depth perception? What is your peripheral vision? What is your color identification, etc. The sound, the sound localization abilities, or from which direction the sound is coming from, and what is the attention towards the sound that I have called auditory attention, and a lot of other things into the system. And the psychomotor skills, when I talk about psychomotor skills, it is about the manual dexterity, the hand, the finger dexterity, the speed of limb movement, the reaction time, the rate control, understanding that the ball is coming to me and then putting a hand right there, understanding the projectile of it, the inherent Newtonic physics that we have. This is the rate control, and a lot of other things in this space. There are 16 traits that we capture in this part of it. Now on the other side, of the lower function of the cognition, we try to measure the first part of information processing called category flexibility. Do I know something? And if I see something, can I match the similarities and I know what is what? And to the level of working memory and short-term memories, and the attention levels. When I say attention, there are 4 types of attention that we are capturing in the system. Sustained attention, selective attention, which will help me in focus, and the alternating attention and divided attention, which will help me in multitasking. So such things are what we captured in our first game that I've shown you there. So when we found this and we were talking to people, we were showing you the doctors that we already are in touch with, they have asked us this, Jignesh, can you really capture the sensory abilities? Yes. Why? Because I think we can use this in screening of eye diseases for kids at school level. Why do you think it is important? There are already existing doctors, there are a lot of ophthalmologists, there are a lot of devices there. No, the challenge is these kids who go into the deep troubles of vision are not identified with them at the early age where the correction can happen very fast. Especially with the kids, say for example, if his vision on one eye is good and on the other eye is maybe 7 or 8 in terms of sight, the myopic or hypermyopic, what happens is the brain doesn't understand image from one of it. So it slowly cuts it off and it only focuses on the vision which he is good at. And this, the kid doesn't understand because he doesn't know what it is like using 2 eyes. The parents doesn't understand because he's doing his job. And as he grows, what happens is the brain decides that this is no more useful for me, so it leaves this function. It doesn't even care to control the eye. So the eye slowly goes away. It behaves as if it wants. This is completely not controlled. Now, while all of this is happening, the parents slowly start realizing that when the kid is given a needle and a thread to go for the insertion, right? That's when they understand that the kid doesn't have the depth perception. He couldn't understand which is front and which is back. And for the depth perception, what do you need? You need the stereoscopic vision. You need the 2 eyes to focus on this, and the binocularity will get you the depth perception. And this is a huge challenge for the kids in India, not just in India, everywhere in the world. And most of these kids today have these problems. And can we have one device as a game with all these games in the system where the kids can just come in and play? And that's the area of focus. That's one of the areas of focus. Now, with the kind of data that we have captured in terms of skills, so how do we map things to the industry? We collect the standard data, the data sets available from ILO, the data sets available from own data, etc., about the skills, about the industries, and what exactly is the map there. And out of this, we get these skills that we capture from the cognition and map them together and see who is a fit for a particular job. And the other way of looking at it is, say for example, there's a company with 100 people. And in this 100 people, there are 30 top performers and 30 not at all doing good, and the rest average. What if we ask all these 100 people to play the game, and we have the data from the HR saying that who are good and who are not, and map them together, and find what are the best things that this top 30 have as a group, in terms of traits, and use it to map with the other things, find the gaps, bridge these gaps to training. And when you're recruiting, use this as a benchmark profile to recruit. Now this is the other side of the area for research focus, to understand, interpret the data existing, and then make it correlated with what we have and come out with the context there. So this is all the data analytics side of it, with a lot of statistics involved, because whatever we collect, it is nothing different from any other clinical research. You have to go through the normative data. You have to go through the normative, it's okay. Yeah, take care. So you have to go through the normative data and you have to prove it to the world that the reliability and the validity of this test is so and so. So that is where our journey has started towards. At this point in time, our Cronbach alphas, in terms of the analysis that we have done through IBM SPSS tools, is 0.95 in terms of reliability. But the validity is not too high, it is 0.75. So that is where there is a lot of growth possibility. And while we are doing all of this, the parallels of this industry, where else can I use this? Can I use this to map the bride and groom, and understand the personality, even before they get married? Can I understand this to take it to the K-12 kids, to map to the possible good careers to them? How do I do that? Thinking styles. Kids have different types of thinking styles. The way they are developed, the way they have learned things. So there is this style where you convergently think. There is a style where you divergently think. What is this convergent thinking? It is the Sherlock Holmes way of thinking. There are 10 things in the room. Identify these 10 things and use this 10 to merge to one solution and solve it. This is a convergent thinking style. And when I talk about the divergent thinking style, this is the artistic way of thinking. I have this object. What can I do with this object? What all can I do with this object? So that's a divergent kind of thinking. And for the innovation, for the problem solving, you need a hybrid of these two. Using what you have and thinking diversely with this, what you have, to solve a problem. So these are the things that we can identify in the early stage, train them, give them the right resources, at the same time map them to certain use cases. And it can go to a level where we can talk about the brain stroke patients. Where there is a brain cell which is completely tumorous, or you have a stroke, I have to take out a part of the brain. Now when I take out the part of the brain, certain functions are gone. But the brain is plastic, but limited in terms of its plasticity at that age. The number of neurons that you grow every day are less than 700, post 12 years of age. So how can I use the existing neural paths that I already have to train this through the physiotherapy or a lot of other exercises? Taking the leverage of the plasticity that we have in this. And that's the other side of the research that we're working on. But our primary focus to business, to survive, to make money is talent management. But during this journey, there's a lot to do and a lot of publishing that we can do around this space. That is where we're looking at these areas. So in fact, our first papers we started this journey 6 months ago in terms of the science. And our first paper got selected with ITC, the International Test Commission, in terms of using the VR itself as a new medium, because all the psychometric tests today are paper-based, not even games. We took a double leap and went into VR-based games. So there is no solid research established on what is the right way to do this. And VR itself is a nascent area where there is no solid UI UX research established on what is the best way to create content in VR. So the spectrum where I'm sitting on is a huge scope, has a huge scope for the research in various dimensions. So that's where we would like to collaborate with you, both in terms of your technology team and also the advantage that you have in the locality with a lot of industries around you. There's a lot of diverse backgrounds that you have around you, where we can go and immediately test it and get the data from them and use this data to solidly define certain use cases. So that's what we do, and that's where we are heading. Thank you.